Hello everyone, welcome to the Fact Cast. This is another special episode where we talk about one subject and one subject only. Today we're talking about spelunking, caving. I really don't know much about it, but I have my dear friend from Sedona, Arizona. He moved out here to Phoenix, where we played in a band for a few years, and then he decided to be a jerk and move off to Colorado to be some crazy wilderness caveman. Nick, how are you?
Ay, Dios mío, papi.
So,
I'm doing great, bro. How are you?
I'm doing good, man. So we have two other Nicks on this show sometimes. You know both of them. But I do want to say that you are easily the most interesting Nick out of the three. How does that make you feel?
Well, I know that Nick DiCarlo is your favorite, so I'm okay with that.
Well, he is my favorite, but I mean, you can't really trust your own judgments. So I want to get into basically was the deciding factors of why you wanted to start doing this sport and what you kind of get out of it. How long have you been caving for, Nick?
Roughly 1 year.
Okay, and then if you were to describe like caving as like a definition, can you do better than Wikipedia? Because Wikipedia's response was spelunking or caving is the exploration of caves. I know there's a lot more involved. Can you give us a quick introduction?
For sure. So the biggest one that's blaring to me right now is the difference between caving and spelunking. Cavers are they're real explorers. Spelunkers are the type of people that go down there with a flashlight, end up getting hurt, and getting rescued by cavers. So that's the biggest thing I'm noticing right there. Next would be, essentially it's exploring caves. Even if it's a known cave, there is such a huge element of exploration. Because if you look at it like this, you have a mountain. You can kind of see or imagine what the heck would be up there, how you would get up said mountain. Same thing with climbing a rock wall, kayaking down a river. When you go into a cave, it's pretty crazy because you can be squirming through this tiny little crawlway for 10 minutes, hoping to God that it opens up, and then it does, and then you're just in this gigantic room. Or you could slip into a hole. I don't know. You don't know what you're getting into necessarily before you get into it. It's exploring in the truest sense that I've ever experienced.
I mean, the one question I think everyone wants to know is, have you found Batman yet? Because I know he was partial to caves and he, had his own cave, but no one's seen him in a long time. Nick, have you seen Batman at all?
Batman's a spelunker.
Man, I mean, he is, but he also wears a cape, and I don't know. He has a lot of other issues. So you moved out to Colorado 2 years ago now? 3 years ago has it been?
2 years and 2 months, yes.
Okay, and you didn't immediately get into caving. You kind of first got into rock climbing. You did bouldering, and you did just regular, rock wall and stuff. What was the main reason? I guess not the main reason, but I mean, what led you into caving? Just people that you met and you wanted to, went out and tried it for the first time and you fell in love. What was the story there?
Well, actually, I climbed in my first cave before I ever climbed a rock wall outside. But yeah, my first cave, my buddy Daniel Stringer introduced me to it. He was one of my patients, and we just kind of hit it off. He's like, "Hey, dude, I know about this cave." I was like, "Sure, I'll check it out." And I'll never forget going through there, and you're just trusting this guy that you're friends with, that you're pretty cool with, but you don't really know him that well to trust your life with him necessarily. And you're crawling through all these crazy crawlways, dropping down huge drops, not really knowing what you're getting into. It was insane. So the entire time I'm cursing my way through there. I'm like, dude, I'm okay, totally fine. I just got to do this to get through here. And for some reason that ignited me wanting to cave.
So looking back on that now, did your buddy have a lot of experience with cave exploration, or if you were to do it all over again, would you say, no, I'm going to go with somebody else who has a little bit more experience?
Oh, no, he knew that cave very, very, very well, but that's the only cave he's ever been into. So I would let him lead me on that cave trip, but not really anywhere else.
So are there different like types of caves that you can go into? Like, do they have different classifications? Like, are they mapped? I assume you map them, but I mean, are they mapped differently? Are they like different levels? Like, can you tell as soon as you walk into one what type of cave you're dealing with? As a like geologist, quote unquote, because I went to school for that. Now I'm working in the environmental field. I mean, I would just guess that most caves are made from, karsting, where you have a whole bunch of water that goes through and erosion occurs. Or you're telling me that I think you said the first cave you went into the other day, you're explaining this to me, that it was a fault cave. Like, can you tell as soon as you like walk into these things?
Yeah, basically you can usually just tell from the entrance, if I remember correctly. But for sure, so I guess that I can really, really tell once I've gotten a little bit deeper into the cave, because some caves don't have a whole lot of features. When I say features, I mean stalactites, stalagmites. Matt, you probably know a lot about this, and I don't, but soda straws maybe. There's all kinds of really cool
sadly.
stuff. And the very first cave I went into was a fault cave, so it was created along some kind of fault line. It doesn't have any features in it, and I believe it's just made out of granite. And I think that's, if I remember correctly, that's part of the reason why it doesn't have those features. As far as I know, at least what I've been told, the only caves that get formed in Colorado are from gypsum or limestone, and yes, it is from water flowing over very, very long periods, and then they carve out these awesome underground worlds.
So I guess questions about like both fault caves and caves, I guess, that come from like, limestone and water like going through them. Are there any active fault lines? And I guess going to the karsting, are there any areas where there's just running water through there all the time? Because that sounds pretty sweet. I mean, minus the faulting and earthquakes happening on top of you.
I guess I didn't know that water still running through it means that it's still an active fault line.
Oh, no. I was saying those are separate. I'm saying, like, yeah, if it was still an active fault line, then maybe you could have like a little minor earthquake every so once in a while. But if you have the ones that are built from like water erosion that you were explaining earlier, I was saying, is there still water running through those caves now?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I went to one like 3 weeks ago called Alpine Twister. And then, I don't know, my first cave with like a really awesome underground river was Fulford. But yes, we have a lot of very wet caves in Colorado. So there's a lot of them have tons of water. You got to wear a wetsuit. Probably a good idea to wear like a caving suit, which is made out of ballistic nylon. Pretty heavy duty stuff.
Oh, I have one of those in my closet. Actually, no, it's just a suit that has Batman's name on it. And the pants. So an underground like river. So like, do people call these like, I guess, what is it called? Like, it's not like an artesian well, but a aquifer. Are they technically like the aquifers that are underneath our ground surface, or are these just like little intermittent streams and stuff that run through? Like, how crazy are we talking?
It depends on the cave. I have some friends that went into this cave called Corkscrew, which they said they probably won't be doing too many times in their lifetime ever again, because it starts off with you just sticking your face in a river of water, and then you end up going through like really cold, wet waterfalls, and you're literally soaked the entire time.
Wait, they start you off by just sticking your face in a bunch of water? And they're like, all right, here we go. Step one.
Yeah, so it starts off crazy, and it just continues to be crazy the whole time. Like, you're in freezing cold glacier water, or snow melt, whatever it is. It's really, really cold.
That sounds pretty crazy. So, speaking of crazy, how are the people that you not hang out with, but you go meet up with and do things like this with? I mean, I'm sure there's some older guys who've been doing this for years. I mean, these guys have to be insane, right? That they're still alive? Or is it very just calculated, or they're not quite risk takers?
No, they're nuts. Probably one of my absolute favorite cavers that I've ever met is Mike Frazier. He's a buddy of mine. You can check him out online. He is one of the most humble dudes that I've ever met. I didn't even know that he was a big deal in the caving community until I heard his full name. I had his name saved as Caving Dude in my phone. And I realized that I knew that name because of a book that I'd read, a book by Bill Stone. And he's the most famous United States caver in all of history. Well, I shouldn't say all of history, but definitely now. He's a big deal. And Mike Frazier is featured in Bill Stone's book. And, of course, Mike's doing something totally nuts. So, yeah, my buddy Mike, not all that long ago, he's an older dude. He's 50-something. He actually had a fall and shattered both of his legs. The first weekend I go out caving with him, this dude never complained the entire time despite hobbling around. In fact, I didn't even notice it till we got back to his house and his wife said something. But this dude never complains. He keeps up with all the young dudes and doesn't just keep up, but he like outdoes them on hiking and caving. He's superhuman.
So has he told you like any like crazy stories or given you any tips of how, you know, you can pretty much just do this for your entire life? Like what is his background? Like did he start when he was really young?
Well, so I guess what he's talked to me about mostly as far as how you can cave how you want is really more so how to live. So this guy, when he was pretty damn young, he bought a house super cheap and has slowly done renovations on it throughout the years. And I think he's on like house number 3 right now. What he does is he makes sure to buy them dirt cheap, just works his ass off, pays off the house. And so that's allowed him a lot of freedom. So now he's able to like rent out houses as far as I understand. And, also, he's talked to me about his tax guy, which has helped him, basically, I wouldn't call it finding loopholes, but taxes are pretty darn interesting when you own a business, and it's very interesting some of the ways that his tax guy is able to see this system for what it is and use it to his advantage as much as possible. So he's given me tips on how to live, more so than how to cave forever. Because if you live properly, you can kind of do whatever you want. This dude takes off like 2 months every year to go caving in Mexico. So, yeah, I guess something that I noticed amongst... I pay attention to old people these days, and like...
I prefer not to pay attention to old people. That's funny, but continue.
Well, like, so let's say you pay attention to old people, right? And you pay attention to the most happy ones. Pay attention to what they do, how they've lived, how their life is now. And I notice a few commonalities. One of them being is freedom of time. I think that is the most important thing that I see, because I have tons of rich patients and people that I meet, and some of them are miserable, you know? And a lot of them, it's because they can't do what they want. They might have all this money, but it doesn't mean shit if you don't have the time to do what you want.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just downloaded my work email. I downloaded an email app for Outlook so I can get my work email on my phone. And I went off to Jerome, Arizona this weekend with my girlfriend. So kind of like a little mini vacation.
Nice.
And I was getting emails, like not like all the time, obviously, but every few hours. And holy crap, I didn't realize like how important having just a weekend is, just away from everything. Because just being reminded that, you know, 8 hours a day for 5 days a week, I have to go into this office and actually work on something that I wouldn't say it's super far from like a passion, but it's definitely not my passion, you know, and that just, I don't know, it sucks. We all kind of live in this world, and I totally agree with you. Like the more chances we have to kind of just do what we feel like doing at the time will make us happier people overall. I mean, I don't know if every single person wants to go spelunking into a 3-level Spider-Man network of caves in pure darkness. But I mean, that sounds better. I'll take that any day of the week over sitting at my desk job.
I know the feels, bro.
So one thing I wanted to ask you is, do you think cave exploration will ever have like a boom like rock climbing did? Because I know, was it Yosemite was super popular and kind of like I'm sure you'll correct me here in a minute. But it was kind of like the beginning of like outdoor climbing and just climbing in general. And there was just a rush to get to the top of like these different walls. Like there was like dome wall, and then, I mean, I can make up a bunch of other ones, you know, there was butt cheek wall and boob wall. And people, you know, slowly kept doing them faster and faster, and then just in like one day with no hooks or anything. Like, is there anything that could get like worldwide attention to cave exploration? Because right now it kind of seems like it's just small groups of people going out and doing it, and it's literally the exploring part. I mean, you see a mountain and, well, there it is. There's not really much to explore. Do you think there's anything that like can make it like jump over to the mainstream?
In the United States, probably, or I should say possibly never. The reason being, well, it is actually a very popular sport in Europe. I don't know how popular it is in New Zealand, but it's popular enough where I'm able to look up like cave exploration courses online. Same thing with Europe. I think they don't have that in the United States, and this might be a bit controversial to bring up, but it's something that I've really noticed. I've noticed more socialist countries, it seems like it seems like their people kind of stand in line a little bit more, whereas Americans, we allow for innovation and craziness, and like you can be rich, you can be super poor, but socialist countries kind of keep you in line and kind of care for everybody. And I think overall that makes people who follow the rules quite a bit more. And I think in America, Americans don't follow rules very well. I mean,
capitalism definitely rocks.
Yeah. Have you driven like on the road before? It's like just every day people are not following the rules constantly, and just it's ridiculous. So it's good that we allow for innovation, but I think we have a lot of people who don't follow the rules. And when it comes to caves, they're super secretive. Like for me to give out like the coordinates or the directions or anything telling people where caves are at, that could get me like totally shunned from the community. They don't really want it to be a mainstream thing, and it also kind of can't be because of all the regulations that we even currently have on it now.
I mean, that seems pretty like hard to like try to keep something like that a secret, like especially with like the age of the internet. Back in the day, like maybe you brought a camcorder and then you said, "Oh, look at these cool things," but now you could just bring someone along, and some guy or girl could just post on the internet like, "Went to this place and I just broke a leg. It was terrible." And then the next thing you know, it gets shut down because a bunch of people freak out about some girl or guy who had no experience who went and hurt themselves. So like, I'm guessing that happens. That might be the reason.
Yeah, I mean, I've definitely found stuff online. I found the coordinates to a cave the other day. Usually if you're going to find something like that, it's going to be for a more mainstream cave. I guess it's still a wild cave. You don't have a guide by any means, but the more secretive ones are likely not going to get leaked online. When they've gotten taken down. Like people are out there like looking for this. Like people are really serious about keeping the location secret, because you screw up a rock climbing wall, carve into a tree, just any of that stupid shit that people do, graffiti. Like you do that in a cave and you are ruining so many years, and you probably know what really goes into it. I don't fully, but it's a lot of years that goes into forming a cave, and someone just breaking things just for the fun of it or graffitiing it ruins thousands and thousands of years of nature's work. Yeah, versus, a rock or a tree, much more replaceable.
Yeah, fuck trees, Nick.
I love trees, man, but you know what I mean. That takes a lot of nature's work to create that, and ruined by one kick of the boot.
Yeah, I mean, have you been anywhere where people have like been very outspoken of do not tell anyone about this shit? It's like Fight Club.
Oh yeah, I can think of one cave in particular that they don't even like people mentioning the name of. So I won't be, but it's supposed to be a world-class cave. Like it's a big secret even amongst the cavers. Not everybody knows about it, from what I understand. People don't say the name out loud usually.
So is there a reason why this cave is so secretive that you can like explain? Besides, like, I don't know, it's really cool, or it's really long, or it's really deep, it's really hard and long and deep.
Well, it's world class. So if you look at all of the caves that we have in the state, wouldn't you want to keep the absolute best one or best ones in the state a complete secret?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, so what defines a world-class cave then? Is like the length? Is it the safety level? Is it the fact that it hasn't been explored?
It can be all of it. This one in particular, from what I understand, and so we haven't been into it. We tried to go 3 weeks ago. Keeping in mind, we're talking in fucking July. It is July, dude, and we're still iced out of one of the bigger entrances. There's ice in it, blocking us. So, what was the question again? I'm frustrated about being blocked out of there still.
Oh no. The question is like what like defines a world class cave? Because I mean, like I know there are like certain climbs and like rock walls you can do, or even like if you're at the rock gym, you know, like they rate everything. It's like something is a 5.6 goes up to like what, a 5.12 or something. And I know bouldering is a little bit different. I might be getting everything confused, but I mean, like, are there ratings for caves? And like, I mean, what makes this one so special? What makes it world class?
Okay. Now I remember it. So this cave in particular, from what I understand, keeping in mind that I haven't been into it yet, but have tried, it's supposed to be world class because of the formations. The formations are supposed to be absolutely amazing. If I remember correctly, there's a really badass waterfall that you can either rappel into or rappel next to. Either way, that's kind of a cool feature of it that sticks out to people. I think it's a 100-foot waterfall. But yeah, this one, it's world class because of the formations.
That sounds really cool. Like I know a bunch of people like go to like Havasupai Falls just like blew up in Arizona recently because everyone's like, oh, I want to go be adventurous, you know, and take pictures and put them on the internet. But I'm sure some of the stuff you see kind of just like blows it out of the water and kind of makes you realize how big of a circle jerk, you know, the quote unquote adventurers are, you know, that exist. But at the same time, I mean, it's actually great that people are out doing that, you know, instead of sitting at home and just like watching a documentary on going to Havasupai Falls or Yosemite or something of that nature.
Yeah. Well, let me interject really quick.
Yeah.
Because I do want to say that Havasupai Falls, out of all my travels, because I absolutely kill it on international travel, and in-state too, or I mean, in the country. But, dude, Havasupai Falls is one of the coolest places that I've seen in the entire world. It beats, dude, it's amazing.
I need to go. I do need to go. I'm not even like one of these Havasupai Falls, you know, like faker explorers. I'm like less than that. So this, and Havasupai Falls is up near, for anyone listening, is up here in the Grand Canyon in Arizona. And it's called Havasupai Falls because it's on, I'm guessing, Havasupai land.
Well, you hike through Supai Village, Native American village.
Yeah, I do really need to freaking go do that. When did you go to Havasupai Falls? I guess that was a while ago now, right?
Yeah, it's been definitely a while. It's been way too long, man. I was hoping to go this summer, but dude, I just have been constantly adventuring and doing stuff out here. But yeah, probably like 6 years ago. And yeah, what you were saying about like the way I look at these kind of like phony explorers. I mean, I try not to like scoff at people and just look at everybody with love, you know, because I think you're totally right. It is good. I just try not to like look down on people as much as I can.
So, I mean, what do you suggest though for people who like want to get into spelunking? Like, have them try out rock climbing first, kind of get that down, understanding how to do a belay system, stuff like that, or is it just more of go find a damn cave and go looking in it? Well, of course, and there are groups too that I'm sure you can find.
Yeah, so the difference between climbing and caving would be, so caving, you're rappelling, and you use ascenders to get back up the rope. Reason being is wait, let me stop you. What are cinders? Cinders are usually very hot. Yeah, so this is so funny. I totally forgot. So ascenders are things that help you ascend up a rope. One of them that we use is called a chest crawl, and it's a chest ascender. and then you have the whole thing is called a frog system, and then you also have a hand ascender, which is connected to your harness and then to your foot. And basically you do this like goofy frog motion to get up a rope instead of climbing up a rope or climbing up a rock. Reason being is because climbing, you use a dynamic rope, which is stretchy, because you climb up, you fall, you want to bounce.
Mm-hmm.
There's been tons of reports, or not reports, but I guess reports as well as just general tests where static ropes, those are the ones that don't really have that bounce to them, where someone's taken a fall on those, what happens is all the shock absorbs into their body and they die, but the rope doesn't break. So it's not a problem with the rope breaking, it is the person.
Yeah, it's the shock that you get from it. It's almost like whiplash.
Yeah, whiplash, and I assume a bunch of other stuff. I don't fully know. I just know that people die.
Dear God, that sounds terrible.
But here, I'm getting a little off tangent, so I'll just go over this really quick.
Oh, no, off tangent is great. That's literally what the Fat Cast is all about. Continue.
Nice. Well, so you can't bring a dynamic rope, a stretchy rope, underground, because if it gets dirt, calcite crystals, or if it gets wet, it becomes a static rope, which is not good. Plus, it just ruins your dynamic rope completely versus a static rope. You can have that underground, and you can have it. Static ropes are just fine underground. Dynamics not. You don't want stretch.
So what happens if you lose your rope? Are you just like completely boned? Is that like I feel like that'd be a major fear, but maybe that just doesn't happen.
I would say that it's not a major fear for me. I will say that we generally carry 2 ropes at a time. Is it kind of an oh shit just in case factor? So I'll go with that. I haven't met anyone I think I've met someone who's dropped a climbing rope, which I feel like it's a lot easier to drop a climbing rope than it is anything else. But yeah, dude, if you had one rope and you dropped it down a big chasm or something, that would suck. I mean, but if you're doing this stuff, you definitely want to be telling someone exactly where you're going, what time to call somebody if you're not back in time, because of stuff like that happening, though. Yeah,
I mean, I hear if like you're parachuting and you just throw your parachute out of the plane instead of using it, like that's bad. You know, you want to make sure you have at least one parachute before you jump.
Right.
Right, dog. Well, fuck, I'm sitting out here now and I'm looking up just like different images of like caves you can go exploring, and I feel like there'd be so much revenue in a sport like this where a company could go out, buy a gigantic plot of land and have professionals there that just kind of walk and guide people through the cave. Like, does that exist?
Yes, the ones that are in Colorado are pretty tame, like not necessarily, for me, not even worth really going in. But yeah, they definitely have cave tours, at a lot of major caves. Usually the really badass ones, from what I understand, are international. We had a bunch of people from my group go to Belize several months ago, and you go into these crazy wild caves that are like not beginner caves whatsoever. But I really don't think and have a doubt that there would be something equivalent in the States.
Yeah, I mean, I guess if that were to happen, the government would probably make it into, if it wasn't a national park already, it would become a national park, and it could possibly ruin the whole thing. But I mean, then again, you still have people that are just going up and down, the side of Yosemite to this day, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's interesting because I feel like this sport is just like, I want to say it's still in its infancy. Maybe it's not, but I mean, it just seems like there's a long ways for it to go, and like that's probably what's most exciting about it. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's super exciting. I'm actually, from what I understand, I'm supposed to be featured in the December issue of. I meant to look up the name of the magazine. My friend Donna is the one who heads it. But I'm supposed to be featured in the December issue of the Rocky Mountain Caving magazine.
The Rocky Mountain Donna magazine.
I just can't remember the name of it, so kind of hard for you guys to look it up.
So do you have an interview coming up with that, or do you get to do a little bit of writing? What are you doing for it?
Oh yeah, it'll be writing. Yeah, it'll be writing, showing pictures, stuff like that.
Oh,
Talking about
awesome.
how much I love life, dude.
Let's close this out. What are you doing tonight? You gonna get some food? You gonna eat something?
No. What I'm gonna do is I'm trying to move out of my apartment because tomorrow. Well, actually, not tomorrow. I guess 2 days from now, at an obnoxiously early time. I probably have to leave at like 3:30 a.m., maybe even earlier, to go to this thing called Ouray Canyon Festival. And I'm going to be going from Wednesday to Sunday. I'm going to be learning how to canyoneer. So, in summation, what canyoneering is you are descending down 2 slot canyons. Slot canyons are created by water running through them for a real long time. The ones that we have in Ouray are swift water. So I'll be basically wading through a river through 2 canyons that just look amazing. Look up pictures of them because my explanation of it's going to be shit.
No, that was pretty good.
Yeah, I'll be rappelling down waterfalls and stuff and big drops. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And the whole thing is only $50, and I get 5 days worth of instruction. So that's a win.
Wow, that's awesome. That's so cheap.
Yeah.
So is that something you can go Google, or is that a secret too, Nick?
No. Really, the only dude, caving's so goofy. Like the whole secretive thing about it, I kind of get it. It's like so fucking annoying, even still, me trying to figure things out. But no, canyoneering and like literally anything else I talk about, totally fine to just go do whatever. Don't like graffiti things, obviously, but yeah, go canyoneer, especially in Arizona. Arizona is a really solid spot for it. When I fell in love with canyons or slot canyons was in Lake Havasu City, Arizona. They've got this one called Sarah's Crack. There's Sarah Park, and then there's a slot canyon. So a slot, a crack, Sarah's Crack, hence the name. And yeah, these things are just so majestic. Arizona's, I think, has some of the most slot canyons in the United States, possibly right behind Utah.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to know why that is. I bet it comes down to the geology and just kind of like how it all weathers down. You know, we have a lot of sedimentary rocks out here because it's all fucking flat for the most part, except for Flagstaff and 90% of northern Arizona. Well, dude, thank you. Thanks for coming. Hopefully it went well for you. It went well for me, Nick.
Yeah. Did you not want to have phone sex?
No, I mean, I did want to have phone sex, but not until you tell me where I can find some of the best caves, because if I want to get real hard, Nick, that's the fastest way to get me going. Just talking about
real hard.
Just big, long, dark caves. Big holes. Okay, well, this was the Fact Cast, Fact Talks. I can't remember what episode we're on because I do a terrible job of keeping track of all this stuff. But thanks, Nick. I appreciate it. I appreciate you coming on here, and you're going to be here like next week, 2 weeks from now? No, it's a ways from now. My God, you're coming out for Labor Day?
Yeah, dude, that's not a ways from now. I don't even know what date it is, but I think that's 3 weeks from now.
I can count to 14. I think that's 2 weeks, so it's pretty fun.
Holy shit, that's crazy. 2 weeks. Yeah, I'll be out in 2 weeks and gonna spend a day in Mexico.
Word. Okay, well, I'm going to keep you on the line after this, but I'm going to close it out. Thank you all for listening. You have a nice day, and you heard Nick. Go find some caves, bring some a lot of paint down there, just splash it all over the walls, and then post your address, and then Nick will come find you and beat your legs out. So for Nick Diaz, and that's when you respond saying for Matt Miller, so we'll try it again. This is how we end every single episode, and people always get confused. So for Nick Diaz...
For Matt Miller.
Oh, nailed it. This is Fact Talks. Thank you for listening.